Hello, Lauren Zima. Hello, world. I'm Denny Directo. Welcome back to ET Live at Home.
Hello, Denny Directo. I love that you're singing. We need some singing today.
We're going crazy. That, and you know what? We're in a good mood. You know, positive things, positive, bringing love and light your way, everybody. Speaking of, we actually have some amazing feel-good stories for you and exclusives. Actually, beginning with Cole, the deaf dog, who's making the rounds, making people feel good, lifting the spirits amid the coronavirus outbreak, and also my exclusive via Zoom with J Balvin. He actually got really candid about mental health and his own bouts of depression and how his puppies are kind of helping him feel less lonely during the coronavirus self-isolation of it all.
Yes, and then actually another guy who loves dogs, a former bachelor, Colton Underwood. I spoke to him about his new book and all the major reveals he makes in it, including struggles with his own sexuality and how the show changed that up for him. Then we're going to get into what to watch, because as much as we've been obsessing about Tiger King, we're going to need some new content, everybody. So we're giving you our Rex. Let's go. Denny, you know why I'm in a good mood? Because something big happened today.
What happened today?
Well, I'm only allowing myself Starbucks via drive-through window, and when someone is already having to go out to the store, because we're really limiting, like literally how much we're, going out to places. So I have Starbucks in this cup today. It's very exciting.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. I've only been treating myself to Starbucks on Saturdays. And again, drive-through only.
Thank you for the support. Thank you for saying it's exciting.
Want to know why I'm in a good mood today?
Tell me.
Because I blew out my hair. I have a good hair day. And man, the power of a good hair day, guys. I mean, that for me always did the trick before we were in self-isolation, but especially now when we're cooped up at home, it's nice to zhuzh it up. I feel like myself again.
Your hair is very significant to your happiness.
It
and
really
I see
is.
it, and it looks amazing. And
Thank
I love
you. My
that
boyfriend cut my hair. My boyfriend cut my
hair?
hair. Just the sides.
Oh my God, it looks great.
Listen, desperate times call for desperate measures. People, do what you got to do.
But we are going to get into a feel-good story here. We spoke to these people, and I do feel like, and I know even Entertainment Tonight's doing this, we've kind of ramped up our sharing of good news, human interest stories. Usually we're very focused on entertainment, of course, but we wanted to add more of those stories in these times because we all need the boost. Denny, why don't you tell us about this? I saw the email come through. The report. We just talked to Cole, the deaf dog, and his owner. I'm like, what is this?
I know. And when you first see it in an email or even like a tweet, it's a story that's been going viral. You kind of scratch your head like, wait, what does this mean? Well, Cole is a deaf dog, certified deaf dog who, prior to coronavirus, actually his dog dad, Chris Hanna, a music teacher in New Jersey, would bring Cole around like students as a way to promote a message about, that an inability is not a disability. And so he felt like amid this crazy time we're living in right now, it would be more important and valuable than ever to bring Cole around to students, to disabled people, to elderly, just driving by to kind of lift their spirits and keep his message going. We actually spoke with Chris Hanna, who told us what Cole, the dog, means to kids, especially during these hard times. Take a look.
He's kind of a rock to them. We've been doing, this is our second school year that we've been bringing him every day. And they look at him as a symbol of hope. We talk about his story about disability, about breed discrimination, and they look at him as a symbol of hope, of they can conquer things, they can persevere through a lot. And then when this whole thing started happening, it was so important that they stay in contact with him as that symbol, especially now because they need him more than ever.
Does that not tug at your heartstrings a little?
There have been so many different things I've been seeing where I'm kind of surprised by my own reaction to them. You mentioned this when we were talking yesterday. I think our emotions are a little more at the forefront of who we all are right now. And it can be a good thing in moments like this. So I'm grateful that we have people uplifting.
And you see so many celebrities and other people and just people in general starting to foster animals, especially now that they're at home. And, especially those people, I think about the people who are by themselves or in Cole's case, he's visiting these hospice care centers, these elderly folk who are by themselves. Of course, with the coronavirus, it's actually forcing people to be distant physically away from their loved ones. So loved ones can't even go visit their elderly motherly family, like in these homes. And so I'm loving that there's like these puppies kind of curb that and help that. I mean, even at CVS Interactive, every once in a while they bring puppies around just as a form of therapy, you know, because it's important, you know, it's important to your
You
mental
guys were
health.
getting puppies? Wow, I'm not in that building. Oh my
I
gosh,
know
I
we
didn't know
miss you.
about that.
Come by. But, you know,
Missed it.
it's something that's not, you know, foreign. We see a lot of people fostering puppies. And in fact, I just chatted with J Balvin. He is back home in Colombia where he is quarantining, but he has 2 new additions to his family, and they're 2 puppies, and they're adorable. And I actually chatted with him just yesterday where he got really candid about his own bouts with depression. And he shared a message with people who are struggling with mental health and struggling especially in these difficult times, and how his puppies actually helped him to feel less lonely. Take a look.
Oh, man, you know, of course, are tough times for people that have anxiety or going through a depression. You know, I've been through that like 3 times in my life,
Mm.
and I like to talk about mental health because I think it's more normal than we think, or than we thought. So, like my best advice is like meditation can help you a lot, and I think right now is it's a good moment to start looking for help and
Mm.
and be humble to accept that we're human beings and that we need help.
How much does having puppies help though too? I think about so many people who are fostering animals during this time, and you have 2 new additions of your own. Was getting those puppies planned before you were self-isolating, or did you do it because of it?
And now one was a gift,
Yeah.
you know, and like a week before everything started, and when I was like feeling all this love that I forgot because my other dog is already big. It's a grown man already. So I was like, listen, you know, we're gonna get into quarantine this day, so let me get a sister to this other girl. And
Yeah.
um and it's yes, man, I think it's really I think for all those people that feel lonely right now, if they just can look for adopt one dog, you know, you're gonna feel a great partner with you.
You know, I've interviewed Balvin a few times, and he's a man of few words. But yesterday, I don't know if it's because he was at home or what, but he just was so open with me, and I wanted to share that part of the interview because you know there's a lot of people out there struggling. There, you know, and he mentioned you know people are struggling with mental health before the coronavirus, but you know now's the time to check in with yourself. And I love that he kind of like laid out a like very concrete and specific ways to kind of like make sure you're mentally healthy because it's just as important as your physical health. But I just appreciate him sharing that message because I think it's something a lot of people need to hear right now.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. Like, one, when a global pandemic comes around, people who were dealing with things previously, I do think that gets pushed back. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you might have been someone dealing with a physical or mental illness beforehand, and now everyone's so focused on getting through this dominant issue that you might not be tended to as much. And so I hope we can all still like reach out to somebody who is already immune compromised or somebody who was already dealing with anxiety and check on them and make sure that they're still okay. And then also, you know, not only have all of our worlds been upended, but imagine if you're someone who was already, you know, again, like dealing with extreme anxiety, and whoa, how does it affect you for your whole world to change
Yeah.
and for you to maybe not be able to, you know, do those routine things that helped you feel a little bit more
Right.
grounded. So yeah, it puts all that in perspective. And I think hopefully it makes us all more sensitive to that. I love that he opened up with you the way that he did about that.
And you just nailed it because that's something what you guys didn't see in that clip that he talked about is seeing the positive in this current situation. He mentioned that, you know, a lot of people would complain about having to go to work, and now people are missing going to work. It's like take stock, and you know, he says that it's making us take stock of our lives, of our personal relationships, of our health in ways that you probably didn't anticipate, but it's important because we kind of took the smaller things for granted. And he was saying it's just like hitting a refresh button, you know. So as much as we're in like these dark and weird and unprecedented times, it's like look at the positive, right? And he says we're going to be a lot stronger and brighter after this, and I agree with him.
You and I both had kind of like these big emotional sit downs.
I know.
Interviews, because I just talked to Colton Underwood, again, somebody I've also interviewed a couple times.
Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head. I think you're right that there's something about everybody being at home right now. People do seem to be a little more open. And Colton has someone who's always been really, really, as they say on The Bachelor, vulnerable, sharing his journey. Not dissimilarly to the quarantine, The Bachelor. The Bachelor, you're stuck in a house and you're told to talk about your feelings. That's kind of all you can do. You don't have other activities.
No contact with the outside world, right?
Right. So I've seen, oh shoot, sorry, my phone. I've seen actually some of the people on The Bachelor have tweeted, I miss quarantine when it was with the other cast members. But Colton's always been a really, really open lead on that show. And he's known as, the Virgin Bachelor. And now he has this new book coming out. It's out today, and it's called The First Time, his memoir. Take a listen to what he had to say, and then we're going to dive into it because it was a lot.
For you to open up and share that you questioned your sexuality from being bullied, that you Googled, am I gay? Those are huge things to share with people. What conclusions did you ultimately draw about yourself as you explored and questioned all that?
Well, I could say this: I never acted on anything. I think that there was questions there, and like I said, I either internalized it or moved forward with football. And The Bachelorette, for me, going on The Bachelorette was a way for me not to be able to run from a relationship, not to be scared, and to open up. And I've said that, I think, to you before in an interview, is I'm so grateful for the franchise for helping me grow.
So what did the shows teach you about your sexuality?
I mean, obviously that I'm straight and that I'm very, very attracted to Cassie and women, but it would have been okay if I was the other way too. I think that's like the biggest message that I have for people.
A lot to unpack there.
Wow.
The reveals in this book, Denny, I have to tell you, I've interviewed Colton right before he was The Bachelor, during it all, and since. I knew this book was coming out. He talked to me about it. I did not realize how much he was going to unveil in this book.
Mm-hmm.
To say that you straight up did question your sexuality, to say that as someone who is like at the platform that he's at, I think is huge. He's coming off of a show that's all about relationships, and now he's in a relationship with a woman. He says he's a straight man. So for him to say, I questioned my sexuality as a teenager, I thought was really, really big. And it was really interesting to me that he said the show, The Bachelor, was how he ultimately realized he was straight. I'm kind of still wrapping my head around that.
I'm still wrapping my head about that particular part too, because obviously everyone's journey when it comes to discovering and figuring out their sexuality, if it is a journey for that person, it's all different, right? And I know he's not saying that he went on the show to figure that out, but I just want to make it clear that like, you don't go on a show like that to figure out something like as big as like whether you're gay or straight or not. But what I did take away from that interview is that like, I truly believe that sexuality is fluid, and some people have a harder time figuring that out. For him, it took him by the time he met Cassie to be like, nope, I'm definitely straight and I love women. But I also want to keep it 100. There's no way he figured it out on The Bachelor. He had to figure it out on Becca Kufrin's of The Bachelorette, season of The Bachelorette, because he's surrounded by all these men. Okay, so that's where he probably figured out that he's straight. There's all these dudes around.
And you know what? That's interesting. I kind of was, because he was on Paradise, he was on The Bachelorette, he was on Paradise, he was on Bachelor. Yeah. And I was sort of speaking about the franchise. That's a good point. Maybe I should have asked him specifically, was it that first season of The Bachelor?
Because think about it, you're cooped up in this house with all these attractive men. Yeah. By the way, wouldn't that be a storyline on a future Bachelorette? I'm just saying.
That has happened on The Bachelor in...
that's right.
The two of the female contestants said that they were into each other. Interesting.
I love it. Wait, question for you. So did he feel like he was struggling with whether or not he was gay or not because he was bullied? Or was it because he abstained from sex? Like, I'm still kind of connect those dots.
And I challenged Colton on that a little bit in the interview, because obviously his storyline through all these franchises is he was a virgin at in his mid-20s, and they had never really had a male virgin at that age on the show before. Everybody cites Sean Lowe. He was a born-again virgin, so he had had physical sex before. So I said, well, Colton, I've interviewed you a lot, and before you said it like wasn't really about religion, and it was kind of just a choice. You're waiting for the right person. What really were the reasons? And kind of how you talked about how sexuality is fluid, he sort of gave a similar answer, like, look, it wasn't really one thing. It was this combination of, I was raised in a super Christian household. He owned and said, look, I was kind of messy in the way I was explaining this before. And he said he maybe wishes he could have been clearer on it, but he was sort of figuring everything out himself. But Christian household, traditional Christian values, he said, you know, sort of told to abstain before marriage. And then also the bullying and just kind of like the confusion that all that created for him. He said he also dealt with like weight issues. He was really, really overweight in high school. And I think that really hit his self-confidence. So I think it was a variety of things. And it's a good story of people are gray area and maybe they don't fit into these boxes of why things happen and necessarily the answers that we all want to be able to check off as explanations.
It's so true. I don't think anybody can just check off any box when it comes to anything. Really, all of it is gray, like you mentioned. It's not black and white as much as people want it to be. And when you take other factors into consideration, so in Colton's case, cultural, religious, and societal like factors, you know, it convolutes things a little bit more. Man, this guy has gone through a lot because now, of course, he was diagnosed with the coronavirus. So, I mean,
oh my gosh.
Goodness.
While he's trying to promote this book, like think about everything he had. I think we had a 25-minute interview because he had to address, how is he with the coronavirus? Does Cassie's family have it? Oh wait, all these reveals in your new book. It's just a lot of content.
It's a lot. Wow. But what a stand-up guy.
A lot better. He is. And he was, you know, that cautionary tale of, look, you think this might not affect you if you're young. The guy is the top 1% of athletes who made it into the NFL. He's in great shape. And he said he was having a hard time standing up without being out of breath, but he's doing better. So far, Cassie and her family haven't shown symptoms. But look, if you're looking for some, it's certainly some juicy content, his book is available now.
Well, look, if you're not going to read a book, though, because you know me, I don't read, Lauren. I watch TV, and there's a lot of good stuff coming in April that we're excited about. What are you most excited to watch in the coming weeks?
Let me lay it out for you, Denny. I'm not going to take ownership and say I did it, but in my head, I wish I did. A month ago, I would say, maybe 3 weeks ago, when I started self-isolating, I started tweeting at ESPN and I said, would you release the Michael Jordan documentary early, please? I know this is unusual for me. I'm not a sports person, but I love a sports documentary. I think they're very well done. I love that O.J. Simpson one years ago.
Oh, that was so good.
So good, right?
That was so good.
So this one's called The Last Dance, and ESPN is going to release it early. Let me make sure I have the exact date right here. It was not supposed to come out till June. Yes. And now the 10-part series covering Michael Jordan will be out April 19th. It's going to be available on Netflix. They moved it up. Part of me wonders if they moved it up because they saw on Netflix how everybody was obsessed in watching Tiger King. King opened the door. So it's about Michael Jordan and the celebrities that they have for this thing. It looks at, you know, the Chicago Bulls, this big dynasty, even as much as I don't know sports. I grew up in Chicago, and who doesn't know that?
Right.
I mean, you can go to Europe, all these places. Everybody knew about the Bulls in the 90s, right? It was this like incomparable sports legacy. And what's really interesting to me about it is, you know, we just saw Michael Jordan speak at Kobe's public memorial.
Yeah.
And that was kind of wild, right? Everybody was sort of, oh my gosh, Michael Jordan, when was the last time we saw him?
You haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah, and now, even obviously before everything horrible that happened with Kobe, like we were excited to see this. He's not somebody who's been in the public eye much for the last how many years. And I think there's going to be a big untold story. And the names, I mean, you don't love sports, but we love celebrities. Kobe Bryant, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. These are the Bulls guys. Charles Barkley, Carmen Electra, Justin Timberlake dropping back.
Oh, wow. That's going to be wild to see Kobe in this documentary. Obviously, any images of him now after he passed is going to be kind of hard to watch for some, but I'm excited to see it.
And I think it's going to be so crazy to look back on the relationship that Kobe and Michael had, and to know, I mean, it's kind of beautiful that Michael was able to speak at Kobe's memorial and that Kobe was able, before he horribly died to play a part in Michael's documentary.
Huge.
Like,
I love it.
sort of a crazy full circle moment, but okay.
Well, one of the things I'm most excited about is also a documentary. Obviously,
Great.
amid the coronavirus pandemic, they canceled my beloved Coachella. Lauren, you know I've been going for, I think this was supposed to be my 10th year. This is going to be my 10th year. I was supposed to be going weekend one, but that's okay because they are actually gifting us with a new original documentary called Coachella 20 Years in the Desert. That's available on YouTube on April 10th. The behind the scenes story of how one of the biggest music festivals in the world came to be. And so they encourage everyone to sit back, stay home, and Couchella. You get it? Couchella. So that's what I'll be streaming on April 10th. Can't wait for that. But also I want to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, Selena. Today actually marks the 25th anniversary of the late Tejano singer's death. J-Lo really became a huge star because of this film. It was a star-making turn for her. She actually shared this touching tribute of Selena while she was in quarantine to celebrate the anniversary of the film, the anniversary of her death. And I checked, the movie is available on Amazon Prime. You can rent it there. You can also buy it. You might want to keep it forever. I know I will. So that's something I'm going to be watching for sure too.
As we say, you and I always quote this part of the movie together. Anything
for Selena. I love it.
Yes. Couldn't recommend it more. That movie, by the way, has held up. It's interesting to see, and I think kind of how the Michael Jordan thing is going to be. Like, biopics hold up because they're this, you know, they're a chunk of time. They're already set in the past. So you're like, that movie lasts because it was already set in this time. So you can watch it today and feel like, oh, this just came out and the movie's awesome. J-Lo slays.
It still slaps, especially because biopics about artists, like the music is there. It's filled in the entire film. So like I'm a bitty bomb on my way to the living room to watch that. I can't wait.
I love it. All right, Denny Directo, thank you so much, my friend.
Love you, girl.
Love you. Hair's looking great. Cheers.
Enjoy your Starbucks coffee.
All right, talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.